everybody, this is Eno. It's going to be the original launch coders from AO. He's not with us anymore, but he's come to visit, which is fantastic.
I made the same one.
Made the same one.
Best thing I've worked on.
Oh.
But it's pretty amazing to think that it was 10 years ago. Yes, on Monday, but you know we're pretty close. I think we might make it. 10 years ago, that the service first came up for Anarchy Online this week. It's absolutely amazing, and a lot of you guys were there when the service first came up, and then went back down. And then they came up, and they went back down again. But they've come up, and for the most part,
Stayed up?
They've stayed up. For a very large period of time. We've had our little splits here and there, but we've been through all of it together. And I just want to do a quick water version of the cheers thing for me here, right now. Cheers to all of you, because we are absolutely no doubt about why, you know, we made it to 10 years. It's because of the amazing community of the product that's kept us going with radio stations, and we've had large community groups. It's been fantastic. So cheers and thanks to all of you. Cheers! Cheers! Okay, I didn't plan to speak for a huge amount of time. I spoke in Oslo for 2.5 hours. Apparently 2 or 3 people suffered permanent and irreversible brain damage. Now hold senior positions in the government of several European countries. What we're going to do today is we're going to try and, rather than me standing up here and Brad standing up here and talking, and you're hoping that maybe you hear something about what you'd like to know about, we're going to make the horrible error of opening it up to questions from the floor. Please don't ask me about the contents of Profit Without Honor. I got to be fully clear, I just won't know. No more questions. You can ask Brad. He might know. He might know. But anyways, we'll open it up to some questions. We're going to be really, you know, kindergarten here, and we're going to put up hands, and we'll try not to take too long, because we've got more drinking to do. You're not allowed to ask questions, Glenn. One? What's this one's name?
Battery's done.
I just want to make sure we can hear everyone.
I was going to say, I ran back to the Montreal to get the power cable. What's that?
That was your sound. Now we did take over that part. Do it again. We have to do it one more time, everybody.
Okay, cheers.
Roll back. Roll back. Everyone hold it. Ears up. Glenn, you're not recording right now, right? Yeah. No. No, we're just making sure the sound levels are good. Okay, we're good? Yeah. Now we're recording again. Okay. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so person who asked the question, try and be clear, because we don't want to have to subtitle the entire thing to be able to share with the rest of the player base. So who is going to have the first question today? Vidgar.
Do you plan on having a re-release and marketing campaign with the new engine?
Yes, absolutely. Our marketing department is super excited about the opportunity to re-release the game and basically sell it again. Because it's been a very difficult job for them to work with it for quite some time. Because the marketing department, they want to sell something that's flashy and new and sexy, and we're 10 years old. So they look at it and they're they haven't been too into marketing end of it for us. And besides, after the release of the new engine, it's going to look pretty good. You guys are going to have a chance to see it today. They're very excited about it, so I'm pretty convinced they're going to do something. And there is, of course, budget already allocated to it, so we're pretty excited about it. Yes, is the short answer.
What kind of marketing techniques do you plan on using? Like commercials or?
We're going to put a commercial in the Super Bowl? No, I believe it will be all print media, web media, and it's not going to be a television commercial, because it would be really, really difficult to try and make that pay off, because that's millions and millions and millions of dollars. So it's more going to be kind of a word of mouth, print media, and the website. We released this engine, well, I imagine we're going to get some coverage without paying for it, because, you know, Duke Nukem was released. We're next on the list, I believe. So people will notice there's a lot of people out there waiting for the new engine to come out. You look at all the videos on YouTube and different sites and different forums, and all play again when the new engine comes. So we're kind of waiting for that day too. We are really excited about getting it done. We are really sick of it, and we want this to be done. So it's getting full focus right now. Anybody else?
Character balance? Will that be out this year?
God, I hope so.
Okay.
No, we're working on having that complete before the release of the new engine.
Okay.
And we're also hoping the engine will be complete this year as well. Perhaps it's a little, explanation type thing about where the engine is, just briefly while I have everybody in the room, is when we started integrating the engine from Conan, we were aware that they were going to be doing some works on optimizing the way it performed in terms of ways the technical stuff wasn't very interesting, but it was difficult to run it on high settings for most machines. So we knew they were going to do some optimization work, but we weren't. we weren't. I know what everyone's favorite part of the video is. We weren't aware of the extent that the optimizations were going to be done. So basically what happened was that Bars, who you'll meet later, because he's going to be doing the engine demonstrations, he would complete a feature like the amazing wavy grass that we put a video out of almost a year ago. And we'd be very excited about it. We were so thrilled to be able to, whoa, look, it's moving, and it was just very exciting at the time. So we took just a quick 17-second video and put it out there. Then the next kind of version of the engine that we built, the grass was gone, the ground was gone, people's heads were gone, and buildings were inside out.
Sweet.
So at the same time, it's like if we'd taken the original Conan engine and kept it as it was, we would have lost out on the benefit of a lot of the optimization work that they did. And a larger percentage of the player base would, the day that we put out the new engine, wouldn't be able to play it. They'd have to use the old client, so there wouldn't be any change for them. So it's taken longer because we've had to wait for the changes, because we've had to fix the same thing 5 or 6 times. But in the end, it's going to be worth it because more of the people will be able to use it. Not everybody's going to have to run out and buy a new machine to play the engine. So the optimizations have been worth waiting for. And there's also going to be less versions of the engine within the building, so that they don't have to support things that are too vastly different from one another. I can't remember what the original question was, but that was the important.
What's about the new engine?
Yeah, the news about the breed change. The breed change. Yep. That is actually done and complete, and as scary as it is, it does work. I was really surprised. I thought it would be harder, but it's just not enough of a challenge with the lead coder, I guess. But we haven't been putting that in because we're waiting to put that out with the rebalance work.
Holy shit.
We didn't feel that it was especially necessary to be able to swap back and forth between breeds at the moment. But I imagine it could go in, but it's kind of with the balance stuff, I think. Change everything at the same time and give people the option to change and customize themselves as they'd like within a period of time. So the circular machine. Yeah, it's not that fast. It takes a moment to completely resequence all of your characters, right? And you'll have to, of course, breed change. You've got to get naked.
Yeah, pretty much have to strip
like
and
a first
reset.
reset or anything else like that.
Hey, that's
Second
how
favorite part of the video. You won't be able to tell on the video, but she also smells things.
Well, she still smiles. That's good.
No, she'll throw stuff at me later. Anyone else have a question?
And somebody who likes throwing icons at you?
Graphically speaking, is there any chance that some of the new textures or stuff will be inserted in the game before the engine is set?
Sure. The problem is with a lot of the new texture work the artists are doing, it's built specifically to support the new engine. If we put those textures in the game right now, you really wouldn't see any difference. It might be a little more high res, it might be a little bit better, but it's not going to have the shiny the new engine can provide. Putting them in right now, it's not really going to make any difference in terms of what you guys see. There are some texture changes that are being done, like the excellent work that Laurie is doing for us with tier armor, that we'll probably put in before the engine goes live. But most of the work the artists are doing right now aren't really suited for what we have running at the moment.
Because I noticed in some of the missions, some of the textures have been bumped up with the textures, and it did make a difference.
Yeah,
It made a difference.
Yeah, Tony Master went through about a year or so ago and updated some of the tiles with the new engine in mind, and wanted to go ahead and try to put them in just to see how it would work in the old client. And yes, it does make a very nice difference. It does.
I mean, you might say it doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but thinking as an artist, it made a difference. I
It
noticed
does
people
help, and you'll notice it because of the higher resolution. It's practically double the res of the old textures that were in there. But you'll see an even bigger difference once the engine comes, and we'll have the spec, the normal maps, and all the good lighting inside of it as well.
Yeah, the reason I was asking that is because we were talking about having both engines running concurrently at one
Yes,
point.
yes.
So you're going to have to put it in anyway. You can't give it to us now.
The plan is we're going to have the two engines. Because we took hardware profiles from everybody as they logged in, and the analysis that we were seeing at the beginning, and the engine has been off, the new engine has been through some optimization phases since.
Remember to have a minimum system requirement optimized here, but that's not.
That's getting very
It's only 11 years old, my computer. If it runs AO, you're fine.
But anyway, the number that we saw with people that if we just ran the one client, that would be left behind was far too big to be acceptable. It was between 15 and 25% by estimate. And when we have a group, a tight community, it's like who would it be okay for me to take 15% of you and say, I'm sorry, you can't claim it? So that's another part of the reason that things took time. Trying to make things so that it works in the new version and trying to make things so it's, reverse compatible with everything. There's going to be 2 resources for pretty much everything in the game. The client's going to get significantly bigger, so it's a good thing disk space is cheap. But it's going to be something else. New textures, yeah. There's about approximately 425 playfields in Anarchy Online. It's enormous. We really kind of take for granted how many different spaces there are. Run through a door, different room, run out of the door, different playfield. Run into the Shadowlands. That Shadowlands playfield was split in a bunch of zones. 425 playfields. So when the new engine launches, just so nobody's got a kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? The expectation that absolutely every single thing in the game is going to be new. I don't want you to have that expectation. The new lighting is going to make a big difference to the way you view the world, and the way that the textures are processed is going to definitely help. But we're going to have to be taking larger sections of the game and updating as the time goes by. So there might be a old Athens patch, and then the next one that the artists get to work their way through all of those resources might be the Sector 42 patch.
You guys will get a chance to see today when we show up in some of the new resources they have recreated. We've got Borealis in today.
And we're looking at Montreal today. I think. Yeah, we'll see. If we're taking 10 or 15 of you away at a time and you're not coming back, then you can worry. We must preserve the secret.
Okay, are you worried if I'm in the first group then?
You have to put up your hand. Next. Are we done?
Oh, it has nothing to do with the future, but I was just curious to know, in recent years, what was the most difficult decision you had to make as a team?
Most difficult decision we've had to make?
Yeah.
Just for the camera, you
So
asked me what the
hard
most
to
difficult decision I've ever had to make was.
Steak or chicken?
Steak or chicken? Keep me low for fire, Harry Busey. That's a tough one. Actually, the members of my team make fun of me a lot. because I like to think of myself as a reasonably intelligent man, but I have no short-term memory. So, this is true. So, something that happened kind of 2 months ago, I don't really kind of remember it. I know that sounds really bad, and this is probably not going to be good on the internet, but it's one of the things that allows me to keep kind of working on the same project and dealing with the same issues a lot, is that I don't remember it over and over again. But toughest decisions, we've had a great many of them, like the decision to support both the old clients and the new clients. I knew the entire player base was very much, kind of waiting for the new engine to come out, and I knew it was going to delay us quite a fair amount of time. But to look at it and say, okay, either we're going to do this or we're not, was adding a significant amount of time to the project and a significant more amount of money to get it complete. Making that decision was pretty tough, but it was one of those things where who do we leave behind? What's acceptable? But from a business perspective, that's a tough one to look at. But it's more a question of, kind of customer loyalty over a long period of time. There's terrifying decisions we make on a weekly basis. We never know what's going to explode next. The game's been running for 10 years. But we still manage to find small little things all the time that blow up. Like on Monday, was it Monday this week? Who plays on Rubica 1? Who didn't get to play on Rubica 1 on Monday? Because we had the dimension went down. And after doing some analysis and digging through everything, because we couldn't, when we bring it back up, we'd just go right back down again. The original mission system was built sort of 10 years ago. Well, actually, it was prepared and made better by Enno a long time ago. But it's made to hold a limited number of, you take a mission, that mission gets a unique identifier. It's associated with you forever. And because these IDs are never being reclaimed by the system. There's 4.4 billion of these things. And you guys managed to run us out of IDs. So the server would go to get a new ID and be like a guy standing and looking at a blank cover when his wife just told him to go get something out of it. Yeah. So the servers would hang and would stop. So our brilliant lead coder managed to figure out a way to get things back up. But this kind of stuff is pretty regular. It happens all the time. On yesterday, the Heckler bed. Who noticed that? How many people got the Heckler bed yesterday? Nobody. Oh, good. You
We were here.
Yeah, instead of it being a pet, it was just a monster that spawned. That's who broke it.
Oh my God.
It was me. Everybody that destroys the universe at some point, and someone was having lag issues with their client and clicked it like 100 times and went, crap it, it's not working. Left the playfield and came back. There's like 150 hectares. And as soon as people noticed that, hey, you know what's really cool? You can write things with these guys.
No. Oh no.
So yesterday when I was trying to prepare and get things ready to go to the Bible, we had to go in and insert stuff into the database and get quality assurance to check what had been done.
No, they're like writing it on the ground.
The department to get things into the launcher and make sure everything was done. People were told about it. The customer service was putting a site cast in the game. Yeah, so that was yesterday afternoon. Things explode all the time. It's very, very easy to destroy the universe. So there's a decision thing, it's
Every day.
every single day. I've never had the opportunity to be bored. I've worked on the same project for 7 years, and you just sort of look up from your desk one day and go like, wow, what year is it? Wow, my kid's big. When did that happen? It's pretty terrifying. But,
All right.
Do you have any toughest decisions you had to take kind of thing?
Tough decision I've had to make. I mean, it's like Paul said, one of the things that we deal with on a weekly basis are these tough decisions. Every single day we come to the office, we have hard things to look at. I'd say probably the toughest decision that we made inside that there was the decision to go forward with rebalancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very hard decision when you look at the fact that Anarchy Online has so many years of confidence and you say, screw it, we're going to change all of this. That's a tough choice to make. But at the same time, looking at the concept that was there, looking at what we've had, we realized in order to continue developing, in order to continue progressing for another 10 years or more, we have to go back and fix the things that are wrong with the game. it's a choice that no one wants to have to make, but eventually you have to look at the mess and say, we've got to change this, we've got to fix this. It's a pain, it's a nightmare to deal with. Poor Danelle over here has been driving herself crazy working on this. But yet, it's still coming together and will still be positive for the game in the future, no matter how much of a headache it is going on.
It's going to be a period of adjustment for everybody. But it's looking through this, we really were unaware of how many things were just simply outright broken. The first nano an NC gets on the island is the best one he's going to have for 30 levels. And that just doesn't make any sense at all. None of it makes any sense. There's whole lines of nanos certain professions had that just didn't even work. They said they would do something, but they actually didn't do anything at all. Like I got to put this on.
Back pain.
So it's been really quite an amazing exercise to actually pass through and look at all of this information, all these data, all this data with the profession tools, and start to dig into items and really discover all the stuff that would be broken for years we never had known.
Defense and modification comes to mind. I'm sorry.
It would have been much easier to just look at it and say, you know, we're not touching that. We're just going to run away. It's all broken, but we're used to it, so forget it. But if we want to go forward and progress and add meaningful content in the future, we have to really take it in hand and fix it for once, which is not fun, but we're still doing it. You're not going to ask me a lore question, are you?
No, it's a curveball. What's the most fun thing you've added to the game?
It's the most fun thing?
That you're the most proud of?
Yeah, it's really dumb. And, you know, you guys are all just play field with that. But my favorite single thing that I've added to the game over the years was the I win button.
The one that popped in Bari?
Yeah, old accent and...
Oh, I saw the one in Bari.
Content that I've made, I'm really kind of, I'm not think it's good, but just in pure kind of simplicity, you put it on the ground,
Yes.
people click on it, win, they don't, and people fly through the air and then run and they do it again, and it's a huge amount of fun. There's no downside. There's no way.
Let's get stuck in a tree.
It's easier for NPs to win than for soldiers. No one complains about it. It's just pure and simple fun. I love the idea of a big red shiny win button. I want one for my office. But that's my favorite thing. It might be a little lame and not what people were expecting, but it's my favorite thing. Your favorite thing, Brett?
Favorite thing, honestly, God, I'd say probably the favorite thing that I've added to the game was probably the first part I've been working on, which was the law. That was me coming into the office and literally 2 days after I got in there, calling and taking to a whiteboard that had kind of this crescent moon shape drawn on. It says, there's a volunteer and a guy here, make an escort quest, go. What? Next thing 2 weeks later, I cranked out a lot, and to this day, it's one of my favorite responses that I made. I'm very proud of that.
That's a fun playfield, isn't it?
Yeah.
I also think it's
The one you haven't done yet?
Yeah.
Oh no!
Okay.
Ruined.
Am I up?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, Alex. Alex? Next. Nick.
That's about to certain MRE. Don't forget to provide me a Heckler doll to my daughter.
Oh, a Heckler doll.
No, seriously, I want to buy a little Hex.
Little Heckler doll. I don't have one, man. You're really big. If I had one, I'd give it to you.
How about we get your detective costume?
The guy, I could just tell him we can have one, and then we could like get out of here. We don't have one. I don't know what to tell you.
On the site.
Merchandise store.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk to marketing. That's something they can get excited about.
There you go. Yeah, lead.
You got a question, right?
Yeah, the lead.
Yeah, I have a question. It's very important. Last time we saw you on video, you were wearing 2 watches. Significance of that, and what effect will that have on the overall picture of the game?
I saw you at the bar. I had a bracelet my wife gave me and a watch. It was not 2 watches, it was a bracelet. Yes.
30 more days on the player experience.
It's not done. It's not finished. There's a 65-page document that's been written about it. So there's a great deal of thought and effort that's gone into it. And now it's just a question of actually we need to find the time to make it. We've been digging through a lot of things one at a time. actually many kind of fights and arguments about what was going to go in there, because everybody has a very different impression as to, you know, how easy we should make it, and how, if you take it kind of too far into making it easy to get started in AO and progress, then we're kind of taking away a little bit about kind of what makes AO special. Like if we make, it's kind of like we're a bit of a niche product at this point. Right? At no point in the future are we anticipating, hey, I'm going to change the starter experience, and then we're going to kick at WoW Dash. We're going to have 4.5 million customers. It's not going to happen. This is a special thing for a special group of people. We're not trying to do something ridiculous. We're not going to try and change the entire flavor of the game. And if we change the beginning of the game to make it too easy, it's not going to make any difference. Because what's going to happen is people are still going to reach that point, right? Where, and everybody is, I'm sure everybody in this room had that point at some point in the game where they were playing and just went, what? Implant? Are you kidding? I have to put 3 of these things, buy trade skill into that, and then put that on, and then put another one on, put another one on, to put this one on, and I take those 2 off, and...
Oh, you mean a Chinese puzzle?
Yeah, like stepping implant. There's going to be that point for everybody. So we want to still make it AO and sci-fi, keep the flavor of what the game is, but we, at the same time, we want to smooth the transition, because right now, you are tossed on the beach with no weapons and no nothing. And a lot of people arrive in the game and they put their mouse over top of Brandon Thorne, and they haven't been in the game before, and there's a little red attack symbol. So a lot of people arrive and go, oh boy, I'm not doing that. and they run away. And they don't get any of their equipment, they don't get level 2, they don't know what they're doing, and they, soldiers running down the beach naked. That's a whole other game we're working on.
Is that the social game?
That's the social game. But we need to keep the flavor, and a lot of work is going into it, a lot of thought going into it. And it's going to take some time, because it's got to be that first, shining moment of what AO is. And the bar has gone up for what that is in every game ever since they started releasing games. Yes, sir.
During 15 minutes of free time to give you a week, what games, not necessarily game titles, I don't want to put you in a box, what game genre, other than AO, would you prefer to play? Or what do you
CS2 and Minecraft. CS2 and Minecraft, that's about it.
I played a lot of Team Fortress 2 myself as well, because I've had 2 kids over the last 4 years. And anybody with children here knows that, that 3-hour raid is kind of out of the question now. Doing it at 2 a.m. So games like CS2 really appeal to me, because I could play for, 10 minutes, and then if I had to quit after 2, no one cared. The last large isn't really the right word, game I managed to complete was Portal. Not the second one, the first one. So it's difficult to find the time. I really enjoyed that. I thought it had something new and different that we've never seen in any other game, and I could complete it in sort of 4 or 5 hours. There's a lot of the other great products that are out there. Like, I really want to play Red Dead Redemption. It was fantastic. But I know how many hours it's going to take me to finish that. And if I was walking into the movie store and it's like, wow, that looks really good. Oh, it's 63 hours. I wouldn't pick it up. I'd forget it. It's never going to happen. But for some reason, it's kind of an expected part of games now. It's totally unrelated to AO, and I'm very sorry. But the idea that I want to invest, sort of 50 hours of gameplay into, a story-based thing, no, I just don't have that kind of time. So a lot of what I do is pretty much, AO when I get some time, and making bug lists in AO when I get the time. But Portal, I really enjoyed, and TF2. Those games were a lot of fun. Just one box was great, fantastic. Anybody else?
Yes, sir. You guys not in Montreal?
Is that where we are? It's a wonderful city, and a lot of people have been really just amazingly friendly when we got here, and our new CEO and a lot of the people that were working here have been very welcoming. But moving everything here has been very, very challenging on a technical level. Because a lot of the systems that we have been working in for like a period of, 6, 7 years have been put together by people who were no longer there. And having to reverse engineer all of the old systems and try and get them to work was really difficult. There's been a lot of hard work that's gone into just being able to make the move. So I'm hoping that, over the summer, we're actually get an opportunity to find out where we're living. Because, office, home, office, home, office, home doesn't leave a lot of room for sightseeing. But it has been wonderful so far. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm sorry my French sucks. It's really embarrassing. My Norwegian's okay though. Anybody else?
Well, I'm pretty sure everyone is asking about it in their head, but they're not actually speaking. I would like to have a modified cat that looks like a leaf. Would you have the DNA of that little bastard?
If you'll look on the FBI website, you'll see I'm prohibited from working with any genetic material of any.
Actually, it's kind of pop. It looks very much like a...
That's kind of sucks. Who tried it?
No, sorry. We're marketing working on it right away.
Yeah. Connect to society.
Been closed for a year.
Animals, yeah.
Anybody else? Yes.
Is there any chance that sometime before the engine, the new engine comes out, that any corrections of apps may be done? Like the overlap between the river, Strait River?
I'm going to go with unlikely.
Yeah.
We've got a huge amount on our plate right now. And I know that everybody in the room, if I handed out a blank piece of paper to all of you and said, write down the single most important bug that you want fixed, I'd get like 100 different answers. Things like that, we're going to put it on the list and we're going to try and get to it when we can. But adjusting the maps, we're going to have to re-export every single playfield in the game for the new engine. We have no choice. Every playfield's going out brand new. So there's a chance it might fix itself. So we're going to have to wait and see after it goes out. If it's still not where it's supposed to be, then perhaps we'll have to have some time to look into it. But you'll have to tell us what it is again. We'll forgot. By the way, this is Chris Wood. He's the guy who has the awesome license plate. Remember the vote on the forums where you have the Rubica license plate? What's this year? Are you newbie? Yeah. Love that thing. Okay, anybody else? One more. I thought we were going to get straight there.
Well, this is the question. You don't have any date for the Anarchy?
No.
A lot of persons are waiting. The anniversary.
Absolutely. There's a lot of people that are waiting. And I've made the mistake in the past of, speaking to the colors and saying, how long do you need? And it tells me 6 months, so a year, fine, we're good. And we're still not quite there because there's been a lot of, it's not their fault, things kept changing, right? When the ground's shifting under your feet, it's very difficult to build stuff. But I'm not going to commit to a date because then there's a possibility I'll just disappoint people again. We're working on it as hard as we can. You'll get a chance to look at it today and see where we are. We're not trying to hide anything. You're going to get to see it. Get to ask questions in there too. Like, what were you thinking? That's a good one. But it's going to take some time. And now that the Conan's new version has been deployed out to Conan, we're getting a lot more help and resources from the main coder group in the building. So it's been positive. So I can't put a number on it, but as soon as we can. But at the same time, not before it's finished. We've been working on it. We've been working on it for a long time. At this point, it's not about just throw it out when it's close enough, or it's got to be stable. It's got to look good. If we put this many years into it, we'll put as much time into it as we have to make sure it's right. the last thing we want to do is put something out where people are, crashing or stuff like that, or there's horrible glaring visual issues all over the place. It's got to look good, and it's got to work well. And until that's happening, then I can't give you a date. When it goes into beta, then we'll have a period that we're probably going to work with. And I don't think that's that far off. You'll get to see it today. But at the same time, there's still issues, and you're going to get to see them today.
People just
Gonna hate me.
discount themselves.
Yeah. I don't know if anything's going to calm anyone down except for like being handed the box right now. So we just need to finish it. We're doing everything we can. Yeah.
What's the most challenging and satisfying fix that you were able to achieve?
Friday. Oh God.
Well, there can be more than one. I mean, sometimes it's hard to choose from.
Because we're literally fixing things all the time. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of changes.
One that sticks out.
The hardest one.
Well, not necessarily. One that stick out in your mind. It's like, oh God, I can't believe we pulled that one off.
My favorite thing that I wrote was, and then had to fix. A few years ago, there was an item or a box that's the Stygian witch, and in one of the little pocket boxes in Inferno, and it has this item on it called the vanishing eye of this Stygian witch. And when you would hit her, there was a chance that you would be teleported somewhere else in the playfield and have to run back to your group. We have this folder structure we work with. And my folder is CLLN, Colin, just artificially generated. So when I'm making something and the tool says, where do you want to put it? I go CLLN, and then it goes into that folder. And I made a typo. And I put it in CLLE, which was common loot for leaks. Yeah, so a bunch of the players in the game were running around wearing 14 of these. So at the end of the battle station, you'd shoot them, and that low percentage chance that was on the boss was they were wearing 25 of them. So you would shoot them in the battle station, then you'd be out in space going, what is that? And this was, of course, very funny. But, yeah, I remember that one. That was pretty funny, because a couple things had to go horribly wrong for that to ever happen. It took us forever to figure out what was going on, because it didn't make any sense. People are being worked out into space, in the battle stations. We don't know why. Could be anyone. Well, we found it. That was one for me, I guess, most memorable. Do you have one?
I should say for the record that, when Paul talks about having a 5-second short-term memory, the only reason that I helped him out back was because I have a 10-second short-term memory. So not any difficulty for me to remember this kind of thing.
Twice as good.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, there's a lot of satisfaction being such a long-term player of AO and having gone around and experienced the game, on the ground, as it were. And then realizing, hey, wait a minute, I have this typo in it, and you see, you thought, I do want to fix that. And just going in 5 minutes and taking care of a quick typo somewhere, or fixing an icon, this sort of thing. It's the little bitty things that I get to do on a weekly basis that add that extra little step of polish to the game that are really, to me, satisfying. I can't nail down any one in particular, but it's all those little things that get changed. Tiny things. I've got to find the time to do this. Did we ever fix the fun reel?
We did fix the fun reel. I just don't know what it is.
There used to be an item called the funeral urn. Must have been you got a pet out of it.
Yeah.
There's the fun reel urn for
One step away from real fun urn.
Fun reel urn. Any other questions? Oh God.
There's F and map that still got an S to it.
Yeah, F and map.
Yeah.
For clan omni-neutral, planetary politics, anything story related? I mean, there used to be a lot more activity in that area years ago, and we'd even see these characters from time to time appearing and, staging events.
The event characters are still being logged in.
They're still being logged in. There are still events going on. A lot of it really relies on the players get involved. It's not necessarily going to be as prominent as it used to be, simply because we don't have the staff we used to. I mean, you're talking about giant events that happen around time Shadowlands. You not only had art support, but you had Funcom support. That's many, many times what we have right now. The overarching storyline of Anarchy Online is something that I have a lot of interest in. I was with the Archivist team for a very long time myself, and it's one of the reasons why I ended up moving to Norway to join the team. We're kind of at a bit of a lull right now in terms of where we can go, because in order to drive further story-based content in the game, we have to have the content to build around it. With us trying to put our focus on making Anarchy Online more stable at its base and core right now, that's not really giving us much in the way of additional content to add in to supply a new generation for the storyline with. There are a lot of details and documents that I have floating around my desktop for exactly what I want to do and where I want to go with AO. I've had these written for years, and I still want to do them. The problem is just finding the time and finding the content to build it around. The art events guys that I work with are very excited by a lot of the ideas that I've had, and I know they're also just gnawing this to get on them. And I'm hoping that we can bring more into light as time goes on. I would like to say, just to anybody here, and of course anybody out there watching from home, if you have an interest in the storyline of Anarchy Online and want to help us, the Art Events team is looking for members. We are always happy to have new people helping us out and help build and create these wonderful storylines and characters that fill the world of Montreal. I would love to see more people helping us out. And if any of you guys have any interest in that, by all means, please send an application, join the events team, give me a hand. You know, help us out. We can make more storylines with more people and more content. It's just a matter of finding the time and the interest. So, talk to Brad today. Yes, pretty natural. Yes, sir.
How do you pronounce K-Y-R-O?
Yeah. Please tell us.
Marion. I don't know. There was apparently those names come out of some kind of Indian mythology. Those names were decided on the year that I arrived working at Funcom 7 years ago. That's one of the questions.
the best that I know of is Kirok.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Something else, but that's just what I always heard.
I don't try that hard.
Oh, you mean in human? Pronouncing human. Oh,
Here,
okay.
dog guy, I don't know. Aliens. There we go.
Yeah, and bugs I can't pronounce.
Yes.
I just have a comment. I petitioned this a while ago. I had a nice conversation with a really nice man. I can't remember who it was.
You might be here.
But I just would like to...
Just a second, we'll do this real fast. This is the Jim Shadow God right here.
Yay!
This is Jim Gix over there. And behind Jim Gix is EJ, who actually runs the customer service department. Does a fantastic job. So that's a really fun job.
Yeah!
I'm sorry.
So I just would like to remind you guys that there really are real girls playing the game.
Oh!
Really, truly. And some of us actually like pretty things or shiny things.
Well.
Ours, we think like this. I swear, one of my favorite things in the game is the engineered buff that makes me all sparkly. No. But more happy, pretty things, even in sci-fi. You know, I just a comment. I throw that out there.
This is cute, Rob Phillips. I was close. Pilot. Last name. We've had him making, poor guy. Rob just turned 20 during his internship, and we had him making wedding dresses, shoes, purses, a party tent. The poor guy got here and immediately started making like a tank armor set. I was like, that's great. You know what you can make next?
Take the real man.
Oh my God!
He's done a great job. The bridesmaid dresses are suitably hideous, so we are putting stuff like that in game as well.
They're hideous?
Of course.
They gotta be.
Oh, okay.
Rainbow green. Supposed to be.
Well, you know what? I think we gotta get just remain engaged.
Anybody else?
Just kidding.
Yes.
I'll just make Los Angeles again. But to play a little bit on my old Tesla?
I imagine that it's tough to tell. I imagine we'll have kind of regular sort of population, 500, that kind of thing will be into the new engine location first. We can't just kind of open it up to sort of everybody right at the very beginning. Or what will happen is we'll just get, it's kind of like too much noise to content. It would be just thousands of comments, and it would be very difficult for us to process actual information out of that. So the first beta is going to be very limited. It won't be on test pod. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We know who you are. Absolutely. Yeah, so close limited beta first to make sure most of the issues are taken care of. Then a larger kind of larger open beta, I would think, to make sure we caught the issues, and then it'll be migrated to the live servers, God willing, at some point, hopefully in the near future. You have to say it. Soon. Not soon, but in the near future. We're doing the best we can. Yeah?
So that beta is limited to people in this room, right?
You wish.
We do have a list. No, we can't do that. The European players that fly over here and kill me.
In that order.
Okay, anybody else? Yes.
The old obsolete content in the game.
I'm sorry, I can't quite hear you.
The old obsolete content, like the old weapons and stuff that nobody uses.
Yeah.
Is there any future plans for that for re-release or?
No, I think most of the shops. I think most of the shop food is going to stay shop food. That's one of the difficult parts of AO in general, and for someone we're used to it, we know what we're looking for, right? But if you come in fresh and you got the weapon you started with, the first one you find, you assume it's going to be better than what you got. So you put it on and all you're pleased with yourself, and you run around to the next 10 levels until you meet up with another player and they look at you and go, what is that? You don't know. A lot of the other games out there is becoming kind of a universal standard at this point. You got kind of gray and then white stuff and then green stuff and blue stuff and purple stuff. It's got to the point where most of the products out there are doing that.
Wow, ranks.
We've still got, it's been long before now. It's at the point now within our product when everything is white or it's green, everything, it's near impossible to tell what's good and what's not. So you really have to be able to look in forums and do research and figure out what you're using. It's not user friendly.
I will say that we have some improvements coming into our information window soon, courtesy of our new crew concern. Bronson over here.
Hey, hi, aka Browntown.
In the near future, when you look at items and nanos, we will actually have the calculations included inside the windows. That will also take into account your ag depth modifiers, any kind of additional modifiers you may have for buffs and so on. So it'll be easier to actually look at a weapon and tell if it's better than what you have currently equipped or not.
Nice.
Slightly easier, yes.
Yeah, also about weapons is with the character rebalance. I imagine, would that have any effect on like the weapons as far as for low-level twins, particularly like info,
Probably.
vortex, droppers, all that stuff? I mean, is that going to be changed?
I think, yes, you can expect to see changes across all professions. It's so incredibly complicated that's the other thing that's important to mention. We're going to make some significant adjustments that's going to come out, and then we're going to have to watch it to see how it works out, because I don't think anyone in the world could look at these systems and adjust everything and know exactly how it's going to work out. It's too complicated.
I want grenades.
One grenade,
Please
more
keep
drive.
them.
Yep.
They're great for hiding
Yeah, but
weapons.
it's going to take a while. There's going to be future adjustments after that update comes out. Nothing's set in stone. We're going to have to keep working on it. We're going to keep listening to feedback, like, oh my God, you suck. And constructive feedback. Let's go with that.
I should also say, part of the rebalancing of what we're doing is a lot of the older content we've had issues trying to adjust it. We've had issues trying to change something. when we go through this process of rebalancing, we're enabling ourselves to be more fluid in the future the way that we handle content updates. It'll be easier for us to go in and change things that may be a little off or maybe wrong in some fashion. So it'll be a lot shorter turnaround time in terms of making sure that any changes that need to happen can actually get out to the live servers.
Yeah, that's that. What we can find is it's easier to change. Yes. 10 years of tools. Whoa.
Documentation.
You don't want to know.
Yeah, in reference to rebalancing, arguably, more often, for the most part, when it comes to actual attack abilities, it comes down to weaponry, what the character can actually equip over time, the differences in the weapons, they change their weapons and whatnot. Then you get to your end game, where once you get to that point, you're essentially waiting for the next content release to come out. With the nanotechnician, though, it didn't happen that way. The supposed top level loot that nanotechnicians have is still the black loot that's available in the Shadowlands is the result of Maven. So, I mean, there's nothing beyond that. So we never got any upgrades to our weapon with regard to the balancing setup. Is there any possibilities of once when other expansions or content comes out where extra new weaponry becomes available, will there be anything beyond is the result of Maven, which arguably is a 2003 now?
Okay, well, I was just going to say, really fast thing compared to your question, and then I'll let Brad do that. There have been updates to your profession since 2003.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not arguing.
There's one button that does the most damage thing, not a huge amount of change, but there have been the AI dogs, other dogs, the detonation makers. You've had changes and adjustments in your profession. It hasn't been nothing since 2003. But Brad is taking special care of his profession itself.
Yeah.
I wasn't suggesting that there weren't upgrades to the profession itself. I'm just talking about the main
Let's remember him.
thing. Essentially, originally it was Maven, and then it became Maven with a dot. Now it's Maven with a dot and detonation makers. We have our first, which is but that compared to another profession, that's a heck of a lot more credit.
Well, I'm not sure how well you've been following the rebalancing documents we've been putting out recently. Have you seen the nanotechnician documents?
Yes. I haven't gone over it too much because part of the reason why I like to see as the real time. Doing all these adjustments and changes are great, but how is it going to affect our real-time action?
Right, yes. One of the things we wanted to introduce for nanotechnology we went along with the ability to have this diversity in the game. I understand completely how bad that is. You get to do points and your choices are pretty much nil. You are locked into L3 nukes, dot, and your cyber tech, and that's it. The work that Janelle and I put together on the nanotechnician document is intended to introduce some diversity for the profession at higher end, not only enabling them to modify their gear setups to allow them to go for more defensive or more offensive builds, but also the differences within the cyber decks themselves. There is actually a very large difference between the top-end Isdimmer cyber deck and the scripts in from the cyber deck that you get from Lost Eden. And as we go on to future expansions, we may very well expand on that concept as well. I don't want to promise anything too much beyond what we've released in terms of the documents, because future content may happen or not. But I wouldn't be surprised to see us continue with that path of diversity for nanotechnicians in the future.
I wasn't suggesting, going from
First, if you want some more information.
Yeah, I'm totally happy to sit down. Yeah, we can chat later.
Yeah. Okay. If this was the forums, everyone would be straight. We'll take 2 more questions, and then I think we're going to wrap it up so it's not too long. Again, no brain damage for anybody, and I believe we're going to have some food brought in. So you like
oh my God!
Everybody shares out, so we'll do a little bit. Okay, 2 more, if there are 2 more, or people just want to eat now.
Actually, in reference to the weapons, I'm having a little difficulties with something I read about the adventures, because
my Abby, like, has all her outfits on, and she's great. And are you guys taking out the 8-shot pistol for Abby?
I'd actually have to ask specifically her about that issue and what she's doing with it. It's just a little bit too detailed.
Oh, sorry.
You know, this many professions, this many things they're doing in this one item. I don't want to say yes when I'm not 100% certain. I don't want to say no. But we could ask her about it later, I think. Yes? Okay. All right. Food time. Thank you very much.